Hi everyone, we are Group 4 and today we will examine the case of Cebu Pacific by using an integrated approach in inventory management, queuing, and linear programming. The Philippines' leading airline Cebu Pacific entered the aviation industry in March 1996 and it pioneered the low fare, great value strategy. Currently, it operates flights to over 60 domestic and international destinations across 14 countries, including Australia, China, Japan, Singapore, and the UAE. Summer months are considered as peak season wherein fully booked flights and onboard sales of snacks and drinks are expected. And since NAIA has only two runways, flight disruptions such as delays are also most likely to happen. With this in mind, the main goal is to keep up with the demand while maintaining high levels of customer satisfaction and profitability.
To give you a brief background about the first research problem, the airline company has a reserve workforce or what they called airport standby crew. These workforce resources are needed especially when there are flight schedule delays and other concerns that might affect the normal operating cycle of flights. Each flight crew member that is on the airport standby tag should be readily available within the 6-hour period upon assignment. They are also paid during that period. This leads us to answer the first problem of this study, which is what will be the number of flight crew that should report at each airport standby time to manage flight due to misconnected flights of the original plotted crew and misassignment of the assigned crew per flight. To answer the question, we applied various methodologies. First is we gathered information from the Network Control Center system about the number of departed flights and minimum number of required standby crew for each period. Second is we gathered information about the average pay of the standby crew members per period. Then we apply linear programming model to calculate for the minimum cost and assign number per period. Below summarizes the number of departing flights and minimum number of crew members that should be assigned per period. This table shows the average pay of each crew members for specific flight period. Take note that the discrepancy on the salary is due to the night differential pay. Here are additional information we gathered from the management. First is the total number of standby crew members should be 10% more than the number of departing flights. This is to cover for those unplanned absences of the other crew members and avoid disruption of the flight schedule. Second is the number of standby crew in period 1 should be 20% more than those in period 4. This is due to a higher flight volume and lower salary average in period 1. Lastly, the management would like to have 4 times number of crew in period 2 than period 3 due to extreme volume of flights. Through linear programming, the findings suggest to assign 24 standby crew members in period 1, 71 in period 2, 18 in period 3, and 20 in period 4. This is to attain the optimal minimum cost of 90,660 pesos. For recommendation, the research suggests to follow the linear programming model and assign the optimal number of standby crew to yield an optimal minimum cost of 90,660.
Now let's move on to our next topic, the inventory management. Despite being a low-cost airline, SEB still has in-flight services such as pre-ordered meals, POMs, and buy-on-boards (BOB) as meal options. Among these two, passengers commonly opt for the BOB option during their flights. Due to the distance of some food stores from the boarding gates in NAIA, which is the main airport terminal for SEB, passengers opt to look for meal options during in-flight service. So various snacks or food items are being offered for purchase such as pastries, rice meals, noodles, and chips. Moreover, various refreshments or beverages such as soda, juice, coffee, and bottled water are also available. Since the company has an increasing frequency of flights, especially during summer season, which is considered as a peak season, the company has identified the bottled water as its highest selling buy on board or BOB in terms of quantity. Here is our research problem number 2. What will be the optimal strategy in ordering bottled water as its highest selling buy on board or BOB to ensure that SEB will be able to fully cater to the demand of the passengers? Assuming that the demand is constant, the cost of ordering and carrying inventory are known and fixed, and that the inventory is replenished instantaneously. The following figures were estimated: annual demand 98,000, unit cost 40 pesos, ordering cost 3,500 pesos, carrying cost 10% of unit cost, demand cost 3.92 million, quantity is equal to EOQ, and it should also be noted that a 10% discount will be given by the supplier for orders in quantities of 95,000 or more. The brand of the bottled water that the company offers on board is Hidden Spring, which is bottled and produced by URC or Universal Robina Corporation. Since SEB orders in bulk, URC normally offers a discount depending on the quantity ordered. Here are the findings or calculations made by the group. The EOQ derived was 13,095.8 units. By using the EOQ as the quantity of goods in solving the total annual cost, the total amount derived from the computation is 3.94 million. SEB could order around 1395.8 units at a time to minimize their total inventory costs. However, it is also important to consider other factors when making inventory decisions. Since it was mentioned that URC or the supplier offers a 10% discount for larger quantities, total cost under this arrangement should be examined. So based on the computation, by ordering an amount higher than 95,000 minimum unit quantity, discounted price could further reduce SEB's total annual cost to approximately 3.7 million, coming from 3.94 million based on the EOQ. Since the total annual cost for orders with quantity of 95,000 and more is cheaper than the total annual cost of orders with economic order of quantity, SEB should take advantage of the discount being offered by the supplier. Based on the data gathered, the team recommends that once SEB has determined the optimal order quantity, it's important to monitor inventory levels regularly to ensure that they are maintaining optimal levels. By keeping track of inventory levels and adjusting its order quantities accordingly, SEB can avoid stockouts and excess inventory, which can lead into increased costs. Aside from the upfront costs, it's also important for SEB to regularly evaluate its suppliers' performance. SEB shall ensure that they receive the snacks or the goods on time and at the agreed upon price. Furthermore, SEB should also consider other factors such as delivery times, quality of the goods, and pricing when it comes to choosing a supplier.
Queuing plays a vital role in the company's customer service operations since it is where they have the most engagement with the passengers, from lining up to check in counters up to the boarding process. It is the first line of service where passengers can determine how SEB can provide quick and quality service. In addition, with queuing, SEB will be able to effectively optimize the process of check in and security lines. By analyzing historical data, airlines can tell how many passengers will enter at the airport at different times and adjust staffing levels and procedures accordingly to reduce waiting times. If a passenger lines for more than 10 minutes in the check in counters, there will be a probability that some of the passengers might not be able to board the aircraft due to gate closure, which is 15 minutes before the scheduled time of departure, due to further queues that will be encountered, such as queues in x ray machines and immigration counters. Since the company is aiming to increase its flights to cater the demand of the passengers, especially this summer peak season, it is essential to determine which part of accommodating its passengers they can be most efficient. We have determined that once the passengers enter the airport, the queuing for check-in procedures consumes the longest time. Furthermore, it can be the cause of disruption on the passenger end, such as not being able to board the aircraft due to long queues at the check-in counters. SEB currently opens four check-in counters to cater check-in procedures of its passengers. Therefore, the multiple server waiting line queuing model was used to determine whether SEB should open more check-in counters to accommodate its passengers. To address this, the following data was collected: the number of check-in counters open, the arrival rate of passengers per hour based on a 3-hour check-in procedure, and the service time of each check-in counter. Based on the data gathered and using the multiple server waiting line queuing model, the results are as follows. So the average counter utilization time is at 94%. The average number of passengers in the check-in line is 12.98 or 13 passengers. The average number of passengers in the check-in counter is 16.73 or 17 passengers. Meanwhile, the average waiting time in the queuing line is 10.39 minutes. The average time at the check-in counter is 13.39 minutes, and the probability that the check-in counter is idle is at 6%. Based on the data gathered and findings, SEB needs to open an additional check-in counter to lessen the queuing time in its check-in procedures, since passengers need to queue more than 10 minutes once they arrive at the counter, which causes further delays on passengers' end. If the model is successfully implemented, SEB will also have more improved customer satisfaction. Passenger complaints will be lessened, thus, customer ratings will also improve, which will likely cause an increase in revenue. That concludes our report. Thank you everyone for listening and hope you make Cebu Pacific a part of your important moments. Hope to see you all on board.